The following episode of Generation Random is intended for mature audiences and contains adult content and graphic language. Listener discretion is advised. If you're a bit of a sook, prob's not for you.
Life is very random, life is very random, life is very random to me. Life is very random, very, very random, very, very random to say. No, you cannot see, cause life is very random. Life is very random to me, oh yeah. Life is very random to me. Random.
G'day, randos. Welcome to another fucking beautiful episode of Generation Random. Today I'm joined by one of my old friend. We've been friends for about, 7 years now, I think. It's gone like that. Oh, yeah, time flies. He's got his own podcast out there. He's one of three. One of three, if I'm right. One of three.
One of two these days.
Oh, one of two these days.
Yes.
One of twos of Rebels Without a Clue, which is a great podcast that goes through everyday problems and also a lot of pop culture. And fuck, I've forgotten how to talk, mate. Forgotten how to talk. How about we just move on and introduce you, Tony? How the fuck are you?
I'm fucking all right, mate. I'm fucking pumped.
I'm pumped.
I'm pumped for this.
Mate.
I'm pumped for this podcast, mate. You've definitely got me excited.
Oh, we'll kick that out of you. Don't worry.
You can try.
So, Rebels Without a Clue. Can you give us a bit of a lowdown on what that is and how it came to be?
Yeah. So it all started literally me and my co-host Brad. We've been neighbours for since like the mid-90s. So just growing up together, and we were kicking back one night, just talking shit. And you have those random conversations with your mates, and you talk about some really like retarded stuff or just some really funny shit.
So like this podcast.
Yeah, pretty much. But then you go to relay that to other people later on, and it just doesn't get across properly.
Yeah, I know what I know what you're talking about.
So it's just like, we should just record this and put it up as if like people are listening in or with us with our conversation and going through all this funny shit with us. And like, fuck it, let's make a podcast out of it. Like, yeah, all right. And then that's how it was born. Just fucking us talking shit and just making it seem like you're just having a chat with your mates.
You do go through a lot of pop culture references, movies, music, different shit, and give you a spin on it, which is sometimes quite funny and then sometimes quite weird. Where I sometimes go, what? What? And when I go, what? It's very what? So yeah, mate. So look, we've got a bit of a special thing before we get into the normal random questions. But if you want to just give it a bit of a plug, tell them where you can get it, what's the name, and your episode 59.
Yeah, we're up to episode 50. Well, last one we released was 57, and 58 to come out sometime this week.
All right.
Just got to get around to actually getting off our asses and recording it, to be honest.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, but you can find us on pretty much any podcast app or website, whatever you use, at Rebels Without a Clue. You can also follow us on social media, on Instagram, Rebels Without a Clue 03, Twitter, Rebels Without a 1, and Facebook, Rebels Without a Clue podcast.
Get on there, give them a like, give them a follow. It's a really funny show, brilliant humour as well, and good insights on what people what they think about different views of the world, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
All right, so I gave you a little just because the podcast you come from, and I just wanted to kind of integrate that into this one. So I gave you a little homework. I asked you to go through, give me 5 of your favourite movies or movies that changed you in some way, and 5 albums which are your favourite, and or changed your life in some way. And I've done the same. So what we'll do is we'll go through the movies first, and we'll go one from you, one from me, one from you, one from me, and we'll have a talk about it and discuss it. So straight off your list, what's your first movie on the list?
All right, so first one off the list, I'd have to give it to Equilibrium.
Oh,
movie
wow.
came out.
Great fucking movie.
Yes, in the early 2000s. I can't remember the exact year, but that movie blew me away when I first watched it. Just its whole sort of message and the sort of theme of the story, it sort of like really hits home. Like, fuck, it's kind of right in a way, and it's weird.
My timing's off. So is Equilibrium before or after American Psycho for Christian Bale?
That would have been after American Psycho.
Okay, so he is quite well known after that. So I remember watching that movie and thinking the moves and everything they did, like the fight scenes, were completely different to anything we've seen before. And it was just like, really? Wow, this is something different. This is really something different.
Yeah, the fighting was really, I guess, it was very mathematical in its way, especially the way they explain the way that they fight. It's all sort of like pre-calculated in their head, and they sort of know what angles to sort of hit or shoot and that sort of stuff. It's like, wow, this is really cool. And you can see it's kind of, it infiltrated other sort of genres of movies and other types of movies. Like, for example, best I can think of was probably the Robert Downey Jr. series of Sherlock Holmes, how he describes the way he's going to fight and who's going to hit, where he's going to hit him, that sort of stuff. It's like, oh yeah, they kind of did sort of get a little bit of inspiration from that movie.
And let's be honest, I can see our society going down the way where we get rid of all music and art and everything, stop wars. Like, we're not far from that reality, are we?
I don't know if I'd go that far just yet. We're leaning down that way.
We are.
Yet.
But a great film. Christian Bale was absolutely amazing in that.
And of course, you got the standard stereotype of that movie, Sean Bean dying. Fucking of course.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Well,
is there ever a movie that guy makes it through? I think there's one or two that he actually stays alive.
I can't remember the last movie I saw that he survived.
I can't remember either, to be honest. I know they're out there, but
he's just
nothing comes to mind.
It's just like when they're sitting around the casting crew go, we need somebody to be like a proper big role, but we need him to die. Who's the best at that? Oh well, nah. Fucking Mr. Bean. Fucking, he's just in the background and go, I'm your man. I'm your man. I'll die for you.
Of course. Fucking of course.
I'll die for you. So I don't know if you've heard this movie, and knowing you probably have, but this is one of my favourite movies, and I've been meaning to sit down with a bit of popcorn and watch it again. But No Escape.
Oh, that sounds so familiar. Who's in that again?
Ray fucking Liotta. So it's very much like in the same vein as Escape from New York, Escape from LA. Think of Mad Max, the movie Mad Max, and the movie Fortress had a baby.
Fuck, dude, I'm sold already. I actually haven't seen it, but it sounds amazing.
So it's a prison island. There's kind of like two tribes. There's like a more peaceful side of the island, which are the convicts, and then there's the side who are like completely fucking Mad Maxed. You know, they look like they're the extras of the. They dead set look like the extras that didn't make the Mad Max and Waterworld movie.
Such an accurate depiction.
It fucking is, and that's, you know, when you watch it, you'll find. But in the early 90s, when you're a kid and you watched No Escape, like, Ray Liotta is such an underrated actor, man. That guy is fucking amazing.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad that he kind of got stereotyped as like for his acting roles. Like, you always got that sort of,
you got Goodfellas,
a gangster or someone just a really nervous guy. Come on, he's so much better than that.
Yeah, but then he fucking fooled us all by playing an arsehole, kind of a grumpy baseball player in Field of Dreams. So
Legit. Wasn't expecting that.
No. But that, which honourable mention, Field of Dreams, fucking amazing film.
Yeah.
Get on that shit. Yeah, No Escape. Go and watch it. You're gonna have to go watch it. And
Yeah.
I will hate you forever if you do not review it on your podcast.
Noted.
What's your next one on your list, mate?
So next one on my list, look, I'd have to give it, because I'm such a huge fan of, well, the character, the comics, whatever, the whole, encompassing the whole sort of, I guess, universe of this person, but have to be Batman Begins.
I'm Batman.
Legit, well, apart from
another Christian Bale.
I know.
Is there a theme? Have you got posters of this guy in your room?
I'd be lying if I said no.
If your next movie is Rain of Fire, fuck me.
Funny you mentioned that. I'm not a fan of Rain of Fire, but Brad, my co-host, he blows his dick over it.
Oh, it was not a bad film. I wouldn't say it was.
It's
like
not bad, but it's not great.
Yeah, I would call it a popcorn movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Something you can sit down and watch, but it's not something that you'd be like, yeah, it was fucking getting a hard on. And yeah, your mate's definitely got something wrong with him. Was he dropped as a child?
Multiple times.
Well, there you go. That's there's your answer right there. But Batman Begins.
Yeah, that one sort of stuck with me for.
Why Begins?
Well, it still sticks with me now. Well, apart from it being sort of the first installment of that sort of newer trilogy, because I was always a fan of the Michael Keaton movies, the Val Kilmer. Not so much the George Clooney one.
I asked that because if you ask anybody about any of the movies in that trilogy, they will always say The Dark Knight.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people ask me that, well, like, why Begins? Why Begins? I'm like, well, for me, the way that it was structured, the character development, even the way it was shot, to me, everything, it's like I was reading the graphic novels, and it was right there in front of me.
Is it because Nolan is God?
He's pretty fucking close to it. He's pretty damn close. Like when he gets stats like Robert Zemeckis or Steven Spielberg, then yeah, I'll put him on God level, but not just yet.
Fair enough. Batman Begins. Yeah.
Just everything from his transformation from, I guess, being little boy spoiled Bruce Wayne to kind of like the nomad, not knowing where his place is in the world, to then finding some sort of purpose and putting that into practice. It just spoke volumes to me. I guess as a teen, like I was a teenager at the time when it came out.
I can totally agree with you there. Like based on the Batman's beginnings, or Batman Begins, and showing you how it all come to pass and how he got there. I think their backstory and the way they explained it was a lot better done than any of the other Batmans. And let's face it, definitely, Christopher Nolan did to the Batman franchise what it needed. Because let's face it, they went from a fantastic movie with Batman, the first Batman, and then it slowly got into just a fucking cartoon, pretty much. Like the way they had it. It was not a like cartoony, cheesy. Yeah, it just started falling apart. Like it was just, you needed something dark. Batman was a very dark.
Yeah, and they've never really depicted that in any sort of media. Like they kind of touched on it every now and then. For if you really go on nerdy here, then they kind of touched on it in the Batman animated series. I don't know if you ever watched that when you were growing up, but they did touch on that a fair bit in that show. But of course, it was a cartoon, so you got limitations. But this is kind of the first time where you got to see a proper gritty Batman, and seeing how he went from being basically an orphaned rich boy to the Dark Knight, really, because you never really saw anything like that before. And